I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, October the 21st, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a tulathromycin injection that is the bioequivalent of Draxxin and granted the same label claims by the FDA at a cheaper upfront price. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards. Another big sale for them here on Monday. Their feeder cattle sale is going to start at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're expecting around 8,000 head. You guys need to get on and watch. You want to see what the biggest stockyard in the country does and how they do it. Get on to DVAuction.com. Watch them for a while. If you're interested in buying, get a hold of them early. Tell them you want to be approved to bid. You can do that. They also have one of the biggest weigh-up cows in the Midwest on Wednesdays. Even when they're not having a special bred cow sale, but every Wednesday, big run of weigh-up cows and bulls. They've got more cow buyers represented there on the seats than just about anybody anywhere. But for more information on Joplin, go to joplinstockyards.com. Fall fully realized this past week, and pretty much everywhere has seen at least a little bit of cooler weather. And starting to feel like fall around. I'd say that our fall run of calves is probably half over by now. I really, once it freezes and then we get those winter calves, I don't really call that the fall run. Those calves are usually long time weaned, and then once they go through a hard freeze, then that's kind of a whole separate deal. But it's starting to get fully fall. It's cool in the evenings, and it's still hot some days, and some days not so much. But you know, pretty much everybody has scrapped their straw hats, the stupid straw hats, by now. And like my friend Wes Spink says, he says, you know, I like it when it gets fully fall. He said, because everybody's got their whole uniform on. You know, if they normally wear a vest or whatever they wear, they look like themselves. And they're not trying to beat the heat all the time. It's trying to stay comfortable and warm, but it's kind of nice if you got vest on, you got a place to put your pen and your phone and everything, and you feel like you're back to business there, and I kind of feel that way too. We were talking about how nice it was there over the weekend to be able to have a vest on so you could have everything you needed on you. But of course, with the hot days and the cool nights, these sick calves, and I tell you what, everybody is having problems with them. These unweaned, especially commingled calves that you're bringing into new addresses, and it's putting them under stress. And even the professionals are having a lot of trouble, guys. If you're doing it, you feel like you're not doing a good job, don't get down on yourself. Even the professionals are having a hard time this fall straightening these calves up. As good as this medicine is, and I mean, we've got some really magical medicine now. These bugs just stay one step ahead all the time, and it's hard to get these cattle straightened up. And then once you've used the best medicine there is, what do you go to after that? But everybody I've talked to, they're trying different combinations, whether they mass treat the calves when they come in, or they just, or if they give them their shots and then just wait and pull sick ones. But almost everybody at some point, the ones that they've doctored, if they put them in a sick pen, the sick pen's going to be bigger than the out pen. And that's a depressing point in the preconditioning process there. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about. But, you know, just keep your head up, try new things, talk to your peers. Don't be afraid to let them know you're having trouble. Some of them will have some tips to give you if they've found something that's working for them. But like I said, man, I've talked to a lot of guys that really know what they're doing, and they said, man, I've tried this, I've tried that, we started with this, we went to that, we went and did everything, and nothing seems to be any better than anything else. But what will be better is one of these days we'll get a hard freeze. And when we get a hard freeze, it just makes everything better. You don't have as much, you know, airborne illnesses. It's just better. You think, oh, the cattle get cold. Cattle don't mind the cold. They don't like cold and wet, but cattle don't mind the cold, and they're looking forward to it too, even though a lot of them don't know what it is yet. But it's a tough time to be straightening up calves. But you know, there's a lot of farmer feeder interest to feed calves, and as cheap as this grain is, and as much silage has been put up around, and basically just cheap feed all around because we had such a good spring and early summer this past summer. I think we're going to have a lot of demand wait and come in after we get that hard freeze. And I think it's going to hold this calf market up. This calf market, I'm being serious, it is way better than I thought it would be. I tell you what, you know, once they pulled back on the interest rates and lowered them a little bit, and then it kind of put a lift under your stock market, things just kind of had a little better, brighter outlook to them. It's amazing, even though everything's in upheaval during an election year, they can make things better and make you think that things aren't as bad as what they've been for the last 3.5 years. Fuel's getting cheaper, all that kind of thing, and it's kept this calf market up. And everybody knows that we got a lot fewer calves that we're going to sell this fall and winter than we did last year, and so they're staying right in there on them. People are really aggressive, and maybe we're not on the downhill slide. I know we've peaked on our 10-year cycle as far as our markets, but we may be dragging it on another year. I don't know, and I really doubt that we take out the all-time record highs that we posted this past spring, but I think it could stay up there very, very near it. But you know, we're probably through half of these fall run calves, and still a lot of demand out there. We did see early this past week that supply was kind of outweighing demand a little bit, especially on these balling calves, and our market was starting to slip. But then by the middle of the week, the board perked up. You know, we kind of had a down board early this past week, and by the middle of the week it started perking up. Then we started seeing that our fat cattle market was going to be higher again for the 6th week in a row. Box beef cutout values were very strong all week for the 2nd or 3rd week in a row, and we just started seeing the calves pick up. Of course, we started getting into some of those sales in the northern plains where we see those real fancy strings of ranch calves come in, and even though most of those are ballers too, there seems to be plenty of demand for them. But the rain missed the Texas Panhandle for the most part. The rain that we were forecasted to be having over the weekend, of course I was gone, but it come around. It usually comes around, you know, underneath the Rockies, and then will spread on across the Texas Panhandle into western Oklahoma and then go up into Kansas. It just did an abrupt little hook there, and New Mexico hogged almost all the rain. And Chris Earl in particular, his ranch over there near Maxwell, New Mexico, which is close to Raton, he hogged most all the rain. Got 5 inches of rain in 2 days. I grew up near there. I would see it where you wouldn't see 5 inches of rain in 5 years. But he's living high on the hog over there right now. But they got most all that rain in eastern New Mexico, northeastern New Mexico, as far south as Clovis, and even further down up through Tucumcari. What it did go over, it spilled a little bit over into the Texas Panhandle, over as far as maybe Dalhart or Hartley, but only maybe a ½ inch there. And didn't really carry up too much. But that southeastern Colorado got some good rain, and that's a dry part of the world. They got some decent rains out of that deal, but just didn't get it this time. We're sure hoping we would get it all over this hard red winter wheat country in the Texas Panhandle and over into North Texas, but it is still really, really dry. And of course Oklahoma is too, and Kansas would like to have some rain also. But was in northern Nevada over the weekend, out there working for my buddy Jack Payne, helping him auctioneer his special feeder cattle auction that he has monthly. and we had 4,800 cattle there, and coming from you know, northern Nevada, even down in the southern parts there, Utah, northern California, up into Oregon, Baker Valley, and in that part of the country. But harder calves than what we see out here this time of year, just due to the elevation and the desert type, really arid atmosphere there. A lot of hard calves. Good demand for them. The California buyers were there and they were active, but they would like to see some moisture over there too, to kind of build up their winter pastures. But one of our biggest buyers, probably top 2 or 3 biggest buyers that we had, was actually bringing those cattle back to the southern plains, east to the southern plains. It's not like we don't have enough of them out here that we're selling already, but he likes the condition on the cattle. They're harder cattle. Of course, you're going to have quite a bit of freight on them, but these days, the way these truckers handle these bigger trailers, you know, he gets them, and he says he has better luck with them than he does a lot of the cattle that he buys local. And of course, when you're pumping medicine into them and you're having more death loss, then that racks up faster than freight does for the most part. But I think several of you saw the social media post that my friend Jack Payne, who runs Nevada livestock marketing there in Fallon, Nevada, put on, where in his state, he has to calf foot vaccinate all the heifers. And he's used to doing that. But having a bigger sale like that, he had to put about 2,000 heifers through the chute to calf foot vaccinate them in just a couple of days there. And, you know, and it kind of pushes him, pushes his help, pushes his room that he has there, pushes his time. And he just put a post up there showing the chute that he ran them through. Had a few injuries there on some of the heifers that he was pushing through there. And he said, you know, if we get this all classes on the mandatory EID, he said, I would not only had to put those 2,000 heifers through there with for the calf foot vaccination, I also would have had to put another 3,000 steers through there. And just talking about what a wreck it would be. And man, it got sent out, and real people that are working the cattle and dealing the cattle and raising the cattle, they were sharing it and commenting on it about how, boy, you're not kidding, you're right about that. But then those that want to be close to the establishment beef, oh, you know, you got this all wrong. We understand that this deal coming November the 5th is just on intact breeding stock over 18 months. We fully understand that. And we fully understand that he would have had to have calf foot vaccinate those heifers, you know, before we start talking about that or after, and that the calf foot vaccination tag will likely be the EID tag, and it won't be that much difference. What we're talking about is they are going to cram all classes down our throat. And if you don't think that, you are lying to yourself. They started out with the dairy cattle. Nobody said too much. Now we're doing the breeding stock, and it's ramped up a little bit more. And then some of these trade associations that are supposed to be the voice for the producers, the livestock markets, and the like, everybody that's actually out doing the work, that are supposed to be speaking for them, a lot of them are saying, well, you know, they'll say in a private conversation, well, we don't support the all classes. Well, we'll start saying something at that point. The time to fight the all classes is right now. You have to make a big enough stink right now that even if they do put the breeding stock over 18 months, the intact breeding stock in, which they are going to do November the 5th, likely, I think there's going to be a lawsuit and an injunction on it, and it's going to get delayed, and that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I believe is going to happen. But you've got to fight the all classes. It says right in the APHIS plan from USDA that they want to do it from birth to slaughter. So why would they stop before they do that? Because they've just been cramming it down their throats this time. But to all you people that are saying, well, you guys don't really understand. No, we fully understand what we're talking about. And all the people that are liking that and commenting and sharing on it fully understand that what they're saying is to you associations that are supposed to be the voice, you're taking membership dues, you're having big conferences and you're saying that you represent all these people, your silence is deafening. Pick a side and get on it. U.S. Cattlemen's Association, RCAF, they helped put on the rally that we had a couple of weeks ago there in Rapid City, South Dakota. They got in, met, talked, hugged Harriet Hageman and told her that they got her their full support for her to get this resolution to knock this thing out. Say something. Pick a side. All right, let's talk about your market there for your board last week. October live cattle futures. Monday was down 35 cents. Tuesday was down $1.52. Wednesday was up 32. Things just kind of started turning around. Thursday come back down 42, but then Friday was up $1. With October live cattle futures ending the week at 187.62, down 98 cents for the week. December was down only a quarter for the week at 187.32. October feeder cattle, Monday was down 62, Tuesday was down 260, and some of the calf markets were suffering. Wednesday was down but only 42 cents, but then Thursday up 62 and Friday up $1.60. And your October feeder cattle ended the week at 248.32, down $1.43 for the week, but your cash prices were higher. And November feeder cattle ended the week down 220 at 247.60. Your grains were down hard all week there. December corn ended the week at 404 3/4, which was down 11 cents for the week. November beans ended the week at 970, which was 35.5 cents lower for the week. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December ended the week at 580 3/4, which was down 23 3/4. So rough week for your grains. Fat cattle trade up through Thursday. We'd sold fat cattle and live prices from 186 to 189. Your weighted average up through Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon was 187.53. Higher again, like I mentioned earlier, for the 6th week in a row, up 32 cents on the weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region negotiated. Now dress prices range from 296 to 304. And your weighted average was 296.22 on dress steers, and that was 30 cents higher. And Friday we had a little bit more trade right in that same range, so I'm not expecting your weighted averages to change much when we get them all rounded up for the week, which I'll give that to you on our next visit. But Iowa sold 900 head on Friday, 24,000 for the week, 185 to 187 on Friday live, 296 dressed. Nebraska sold 1,600 on Friday, 19,200 for the week. Live prices in Nebraska on Friday, 187 to 188 and 296 dressed. Kansas only sold one load on Friday. They'd sold about 6,900 for the week. The live price on Friday was 188. Texas sold 600 head on Friday, 4,400 for the week, 186 to 188. So your market as a whole in the Southern Plains was $1 to $2 higher at 188. Northern Plains steady to $1 higher, from 187 to 188. There's no premium in the north anymore. I know that the quality, choice quality in the north is higher. You get more of them, more primes, but there's no premium for northern cattle right now. They're all bringing exactly the same. Dress sales were steady up north at 296. Box beef cutout values higher again a bunch. Your weighted average on all of last week's choice cut sales were up 941 at 317.84, and your late Friday afternoon sales were 280 higher than that at 320.65. So man, they have really turned the sales and the market on this choice wholesale beef up big the last 3 weeks. It's gained about $25 a hundred in just in the last 3 weeks. It's unbelievable. Your select sales, your weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales up 305 at 292.26, and your late Friday sales on select was up about $2 at $294.20. So pretty good wholesale beef market there. Choice select spread on the weighted average was just over $25.50. That's growing as we're getting holiday demand and they want higher quality stuff. All that based on 637 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter last week, 608,000, which is a lot better than the previous week. In fact, it was 22,000 more than the previous week, but 30,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states ended the week at 249.73 after some big Friday and Saturday sales. That was up 65 cents for the week. Their latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 250.80. Your cash trends in your sale barns last week, feeders were steady to $3 higher throughout the week. Calves opened the week lower, like I mentioned earlier in my commentary there, but then late week really come on, and as a whole, your calf market was $2 to $4 higher by the end of the week, taking back all the early week losses. So I would say your Monday high volume sales are going to be higher and be very active. Again, give you some big quotes. How about where I was at on Friday and Saturday? Nevada Livestock Marketing in Fallon, Nevada. We sold 62 steers, weighed 639 at 281.25. That's pretty good for northern Nevada, guys. How about going to Northern Plains? Fort Pierre Livestock Auction, Fort Pierre, South Dakota. Sold 95 lighter 6-weight steers, weighed 612 at 312.50. That's impressive. How about Bloomington Livestock Exchange in Bloomington, Wisconsin? Sells 65 steers, weight 841 at 264.50. That's $15 higher than your index levels, guys, in Wisconsin. You think the farmer feeders aren't interested in some cattle there. How about Erickson Spalding Livestock Market in Erickson, Nebraska? They sell a load of big feeding steers, weighed 948 at 257.75. Wow. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend in your Macrison No BS top quote for the day come out of Winter Livestock in Winter, South Dakota, was 107 steer calves, weighed 502 and bring 350.25. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.